Welcome. Today's webinar is on introducing Zula Analytics for Moodle and Tatara. Today I will be introducing Stuart Rogers, our main speaker from Lambda Solutions. Our webinar today is being done in Zoom, and we welcome questions. If you are just viewing the recording and have questions, feel free to send those to us as well. We'd be happy to answer them. eClass for Learning is a full solution e-learning provider. We provide LMS solutions, course development, onboarding and support, advanced reporting and analytics, which is the Zula piece that we're adding. I'm very excited about. E-commerce, hosting, systems integration, and customizations. We have just entered a partnership with Lambda Solutions. We are very excited to be the first partner in the United States. You can, if you're interested in Zula, contact eClass for Learning, just like you always do for other products, and we can help you get set up. If you're new to Zula, some things that it can help you do. It can help you connect to real-time data, build custom reports, and gain actionable insights, automate workflows to make better decisions faster, quickly create meaningful visualizations and reports, embed, schedule, and share reports with ease, and it will work with LMS systems such as Moodle, Tatara, Canvas, and Blackboard, and other compliance systems. There are a number of people that can really benefit from Zula. So if you are in government, healthcare, or a corporation, you might be able to benefit. And so here are some qualifying questions to help you see if this is something that would work for you. If you are somebody that needs to track completion of compliance training, you would be a good candidate. If you need to send reports to managers but only show their team members, Zula would be great for that. If you have more than one location, maybe a southeast, a northeast region, and so on, you would be great for that. And if you spend more than 1 hour of your time reporting, this could be a very cost-effective solution to save time and money in your organization. Other kinds of clients that might benefit are people that are training organizations, K-12 schools, or higher ed. And if you need to track how much time a user spent on a course, if you need to track engagement, if you need to track students at risk, if you want to provide an easy way for instructors to access their quizzes or participation, you would be a great candidate. And again, if you're spending more than 1 hour per week trying to get out the reports you want, Zula can greatly minimize that time for you. Okay. Here's my contact information. I will be following up for those that signed up in the next week or two to see how Zula might be able to meet your needs and what your reporting needs are. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Stuart.
Fairly light. A couple things to keep in mind with Zula. It is primarily oriented for either Moodle or Tatara. I'm going to do the demo today based on Tatara, but the only thing that differs between the two is the data that's available. So everything you see feature function wise, I'll show you different reports or click different buttons and filters and fields and things like that. That's all going to be the same even if you're in Moodle. Now, however, if you want to see it in Moodle and get a better feel for how that looks, then then we can regroup later and do a one-on-one demo with it focused on Moodle. But so today's will be oriented more towards Tatara. The other thing to keep in mind is from the sort of advanced reporting aspect, that it's really oriented more from an advanced, as in it has access to everything rather than sort of any sort of inherent description of this might be complex or hard to use. And I think you'll find today, as you see it, it's actually quite simple and quick to build out reports. So yeah, so with that, I'll kind of jump in. Now, what you're looking at right now is a standard Totara site. Just picture this even as a Moodle site. Nothing would actually really differ other than sort of the visual and the theme and stuff like that. But you can notice a couple things right out of the gate. So one of the strengths of Zula is the ability to embed reports. Now, I'll show you in Zula how to design your own reports. I'll do that towards the end. So these are, what you're seeing are finished products. I've designed a report that's unique to my organization, something I need for my people, and I'm making it available to them embedded. So the users don't know there's another system running these reports. They are just getting new, richer, more valuable reports to help them through their day. So when you embed reports, you can do it as charts, so things that you see here. So fairly common one is the number of logins by month, just to show general activity trends in your system. But you also have the option to embed reports. Now, whether those are reports maybe oriented towards managers or instructors or students, they would be embedded more as sort of a classical kind of report. I click a link and I view a report. Now, I've opened one here just to kind of show you what that looks like, just so you don't have to watch the page load. But if you click the link, it opens the page. Little wheel spins, and then it shows you all your data. Now, this is a fairly straightforward report coming out of Zula. And when I show you how to build it, you'll see how this kind of all comes together. But when I designed the report, I decided what fields were in it. I decided the formatting to it. And then I also decided how users could filter it. If they need to filter it for a particular status or date range or course or anything like that, they can do that as well. And again, if they're like, oh, this is exactly the information I need, they have the option to export it to PDF or Excel, or send that right from here to somebody via email. So it would send this report to them with the report as an attachment. So that's another example of an embedded report. Now, the other option is, now this one's more for effect because you probably wouldn't necessarily design this one, but a particular dashboard. So the page I opened up here was the Zula reports page. And I've actually designed a dashboard in Zula, pulled in a bunch of sort of related charts and tables and filters and things. And then I've embedded that as an actual individual artifact right into the LMS. So you can design dashboards and embed those as well too. Now, dashboards have the option to be interactive. Now, either interactive by filters, so I can filter by date or course or student or whatever. And I've built that filter into it. Now, if I filter that, then all the charts would refresh. But you can also do, if you need to, drill down or drill through. And so if you want to see that, I can show you that later. But, click a column in a chart and see the detailed table refresh, or potentially even click through. We've got lots of people that do kind of drill through type reports. It's just got a little hyperlink built into it. And where we see it used most often is certificates. So give the student a list of all their certificates they've earned, put on the home page, let them open the report, let them click the links, open up their certificates right from there. So that's a fairly common use case. Now, the reports, when you embed them, simple block, you drop the block on the page, you decide which reports are available, who has access to them. You can put them on the home page. You can put them on course pages that look maybe like this, and put them on the edge, either as live displays or embedded links, or build out a whole kind of special dashboard page that they can access that way. Okay, so that's the kind of one of the cool things about it. It's all point and click for you to design your own report, whatever it might be, and then embed it back into the LMS. So you might design a progress report for students to see, their next activities or their completed activities, and you'll design it. You'll drop it in on the homepage, make it available to all the students, and when they run the report, they're only going to see their data. So it's quite quick and quite easy to do that. Okay. So hopefully that came together for you. Where I'll go next is we'll go into Zula, and I'll show you how to design reports. Now, while you decide in the block, this user has access to this report, they can click it, they can export it. Access to Zula to design reports is also permission-based. It's all done through roles. You decide which users have the option to design their own reports. Now, typically what we see, it's the administrators. The administrators of the LMS, the Moodle and Toto site, they have permissions to design the reports. It's usually a fairly small, tight group. So I would click that button, that would log me in, and I just open the page so you don't have to watch that load either. And this is what it looks like. Now it does look a little bit different because Zula is a separate application. So it's designed for you to create reports. Now there's typically 3 pieces to it. There's ad hoc views, reports, and dashboards. And I've already shown you some of the reports and dashboards because I had those embedded. I've created views, and that's where I designed my report. And I save those either as reports or dashboards, and then I embed those. And actually, there is one other piece. It's a data source, and I'll show you what those are. So let me just I'll create a new report from the ground up. We provide lots out of the box. So on day 1, when you start with Zula, you log in, click. There's all kinds of things in there for you to get going quickly. Things on time spent learning, completion reports, enrollment reports, grades reports, activities, forums, feedback, lessons, files, all kinds of things. So there's all kinds of things out of the box for you to get started with quickly. Quite often people will find one that's really close to what they're looking for, and then they'll just modify it to make some changes, right? So they want to add a field, or they want to change the way it's sorted, or they want to add a filter. They'll just make those little changes and then save their own report from there. But they may also want to create one from scratch. And we've created a whole bunch of data sources. Now the database has quite a bit of complexity to it, right? The Moodle and Toner database is fairly complex. There's 300 to 500 tables in there. We provide a lot of data sources that simplify that for you. It's a nice layer that sits on top of the database that you can use to design your own reports. And so one of the data sources we provide is a starter data source. Starter data source. I've got too many R's in when I say that the first time. Starter data source. Now what that is we've taken that through sort of the last 2 or 3 years of working with people. We've noticed a whole bunch of trends in the type of reports that people want to create first. And so we pulled all that data together into one data source, and that's where almost everybody starts with their first report. So I'll show you that as well. The data source is really intended to hide the complexity of the database, but you do have, now with Zula, will have access to all your data. So if you open up a data source, you might want to do some quiz analysis. You open up that one, you're like, it's missing a field, whatever that is. I know that field's in the database, it's not in the data source for whatever reason. Then you can modify the data source and add it, right? So that gets into some of the advanced stuff, but that's not always required for everybody to create reports. But you do have access to everything. Now to design reports, whether it's a table or a chart, from here it's all drag and drop. And so with the data source that I've just provided, I've got access to relevant user details, name, email address, maybe the city they belong to, whether a deleted user, the first time they've logged in, the last time they've logged in, and potentially in the context of a course, the last time they've touched a course. So if I pull in some fields, like email and city, and we'll do last course access, drop those in. And so you can see as I go through this, I decide, as the report designer, I decide what fields are in my report. So we'll pull in, I've got course information you might want, the short name or something like that, so you can pull in that. Categories are there, all the activity information. You may not want the activity detail in your report, but it is available if you choose to. So if you've got a bunch of forums and quizzes and assignments and things like that, you want to produce a fairly detailed report with, for this student, here's the course they're in, here's all their activities, here's all the attributes about that. You can do that, but that's optional. Sometimes you just want, here's the course and here's relevant dates related to that. You may want just these students, you can filter by roles, you may be using groups, so you could add groups in, so lots of relevant information. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in the course completed date, the enrollment date, if those all exist, and we've actually got a couple other fields down here. These are numerical fields, so I want to see the grade. And you can see here I've got the access to the activity grade as well too. And time spent. Now you'll see that come in on the far right. I'll just make email a bit smaller so you can see that. Once more. Okay, we'll just make it go away. I'm trying to get it space so you can see the time in the far on the far right. So now just a quick comment about time spent. Fairly interesting data point for a lot of people. It's not always easy to tell how long your students spend online looking at courses, or even maybe more specifically looking at activities within those courses. And so with Zula, we help you track both of those times. Time spent in courses and time spent in activities in courses. How you use that information, how it gets summarized is up to you as a report designer, but we track it fairly specifically. It's all tracked in seconds, it's tracked by day, it's tracked by activity or course, tracked by student. You can roll it up however you want to. So maybe you want to see detail. Here's how long each student spent in the courses every day. Or maybe it's by that course all the time. And so this is all captured in seconds. So what we see here on the first row, my admin from Vancouver in the orientation course, enrolled on the 6th, I spent 28,000 seconds. Now there is a nice little handy function there. You could do some quick math and show that by hours or minutes if you wanted to. But there is a nice little function that's quick. I can show you the output of it that formats it as hours, minutes, seconds, HHMMSS. So if you want to represent it that way, you can convert it to that as well as you need to. So that's basically it to creating a report. You decide what fields are in there, and then you decide how it's sorted by whatever field, however you need it to be sorted. You may be thinking of an audience that will run this report on their own, and you may be thinking they may want to filter it. So let's just do an enrollment date filter. So you can add whatever filter you want. And I'll add a course filter so you can see that. Now I only want to see people that have enrolled after, what date do we want to do? Not 2014, but you might want to do like everybody that's enrolled after January 1st, 2017, something like that. So I'll set that time. It's probably a little too specific in the hours, minutes, and seconds, but you can filter that down. And I may only want to see it for a specific course, so we'll apply that. So I've added my filters in and filtered it accordingly. So now I start to see where there's actually some grades and some specific dates. So I decide what fields are in it. I decide how it's sorted. I decide how it's filtered. I can change labels of fields as well. So just because it's called last course access, you could call this last access date, something like that. So you can change the labels of the filters. So again, if somebody's looking at it and it doesn't make sense, you can change the labels so that it's more clearly articulated what that field is. Now, one of the nice things, so that's it when it comes to creating your report. You may add filters, you may not, you may change the sort, you may not, but you do have to decide which fields are in the report. Now you can, from here, the nice thing is you can create as many reports as you want. This might be a report that you only ever use once, in which case you'll go in, you'll drag some fields in, you'll save it just so that you don't lose it. Call this demo, see? And so you'll save it just because you may need it again, but if you only ever need it once, great. You can always export it from here, and you can export it to kind of all the popular formats as you need to. Now, if this is a report that you're going to maybe schedule, and I can show you the schedule later if you want to see that, or put on a dashboard or embed, then you need to save it as a report. In which case, you would save the view and then create it as a separate report. Okay. Now, I showed you also through some of the other initial visuals, lots of charts. So you might not be a chart expert, but we've tried to make it as simple as possible for you to do that. Let me just clear all that out. Oh yeah, let me back here. Sorry, because I saved it, now it's the default view. I quickly want to get rid of some of these fields so that you can see how the chart interface works. And I do see one question, so I'll pause here in a second to take a look at that. Okay, this gets me back to a nice clean view. Okay, let me take a look at that question.
Oh, yeah.
15 courses in our certificate program. Is it possible to create a report for one particular user to show their progress completion for each of the courses in the certificate program? And yes, so there's a couple pieces to that. One, it's always important to remember when you have Zula, now you've got access to all your data. So now you've got access to all your data, you can create whatever report you want. So the easiest answer for me, the easiest way for me to answer that is yes, you can do whatever you need it to do. But if I elaborated, these are fairly common data points that we work with. So we've already got some data sources for certificates or courses and programs, certifications, and things like that. So if you're in Totara, where it has programs and certifications, so this is very common data that we work with. It's really simple to do this kind of stuff. And then it's just up to you to decide what information's in it, like what fields do you want, names, dates, IDs, things like that. And then you got to think a little bit about how do you want to share it. So is it a report that you're going to save and embed into the LMS and make it available for your students? In which case we'll lock it down. And I always use the collecting leads. You will do it. We'll support you in the background as you ask questions. But yeah, then if you're make it available for students, we'll just kind of lock it down. So when students run it, they only see their progress.
And Stuart, there's another question in the chat, and it's, can you pull data from a non-core plugins into a report? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's a good one. So again, access to all your data. That includes any special plugins that you put into your LMS. So if you've got your own custom plugin or even a third-party sort of Moodle Totara approved plugin, and if it creates tables in the database, you will have access to those tables to pull that data into your reports. Now, I don't assume that you're using plugins that I don't know about, so in that case, you have to open up one of the data sources and modify those. That's not super complicated, but yeah, you have access to everything now.
And then we have another, it's more of a response in the chat, but I think this is really well said. And it's sort of summarizing what the tool does. And it says, so this tool is simply having access to the backend database, but with a great interface, which is easier for end users to create reports without the MySQL experience. I would say that was well said. Is there anything else, Stuart, that you would add to that description?
No, I mean, I kind of certainly like appreciate the great interface comment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've tried to simplify a lot of the complexity so that you can drag and drop your way to reports without having to write SQL. There are quite a few things like that starter data source. There's a lot of complexity built into that, but you just have to drag and drop reports. You don't need to know how that complexity works. You just have access to data. So yeah, we tried to make it as simple as possible. The only thing I would add is because I don't want that to get lost, the sharing aspect. It's not just about creating reports. It is also about sharing that, which is why the embedding is critical, and also the scheduler. If it's just a report, they would run and email that person, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, whether it took you 2 minutes or 2 hours. You design the report, schedule it, it automates that whole task. And again, it doesn't matter if it took 2 minutes or 2 hours. It's now something you'll never have to do again, which is always a big win for people. So just the one last piece now, because I also want to show you that the charts is the same way. So there's no other interface. You just flip the view from a chart table view to a chart view. It is also drag and drop. So if you want to analyze time, but actually find grades, probably a little bit more interesting. You drop in your grades, and we can look at average grades by course. And so sometimes I get those in the wrong order. Let's see what this one looks like. Sometimes they're rows and columns. Let's flip that around. Oh, I've still got a filter on somewhere.
Yeah, we might only have one course because we picked out a while ago just one. There we go.
Undo my filters and you can see now. Now this is actually doing a sum of grades, which I can tell because they're really big numbers. The nice thing is you can just do a right click. You'll know that it's doing a sum instead of an average. You just right click, change that to an average. This is an average. This will show you now an average grade for all your courses. This will take a second to come up. Yeah. How long do I patiently wait for this? Yeah, great. But you'll also notice now I've got all the average grades for all my courses. But I may want to hide some of them because it looks like some of them are not gradable. So I only want to see things where the grade is greater than 0. So this will hide all the courses that don't have grades. Now this is a standard sort of column chart, so drop a couple fields in. Some of your charts may require a different visual to be more effective. So you pick the chart type that best represents your information. You got some people, I can't always explain the rationale, but they would like it to be a bar chart, right? Something that's got more of a horizontal view, or they like the pie chart. In some cases, you might actually want a multi-axis. We've got, maybe you're comparing grades and time or something like that. So you've got grades on one, or even, I think even on the front page, maybe that's in a different dashboard, you maybe even saw some of the scatter charts and things like that. So different visuals. We actually really like, I don't know if I have a good visual for it. You may have caught it on the dashboard. We actually like heat maps for analyzing feedback analysis. So if you're doing any sort of 1 to 10, how much did you like my course? We like to use the heat map to visualize that. So red being 1s, people don't like that course. 5s being green, people like that course. And it becomes a really powerful visualization to show where people do or do not like particular courses. Now there is also quite a bit of formatting that is available. Basic stuff like even just the tilt to the text, whether the labels appear, whether the legends, some appearance stuff. We can even get into, again, not always super advanced, it's just more, but the advanced charting. So if you need to change colors or font sizes or anything like that, the background color, if you're trying to fit the chart into your LMS and your LMS is a theme of these colors, you may want your chart to generally match those colors so it doesn't look like it's all the wrong theme. So anyways, I wanted to show charts, a lot of opportunity in there. Again, this is the average grade by course, but I can easily just take out course. Here's the average grade for all my students in different cities. And so you can do things by programs or courses or user demographics or particular quizzes. It's all drag and drop. And so it becomes very easy to kind of slice and dice this. You could create 4 fairly interesting visuals about grade analysis and drop those all onto a dashboard. Now you've got a grades dashboard, and you can pull that together fairly quickly. All right, we'll maybe pause and see if there's any other questions.
You did have one comment about that the UI looks very nice, so congratulations on that. I agree with that. Yeah. Are there any other questions or use cases people wanted to share? Okay. If not, I will be following up with you too to see how this might work in your organization, and maybe we can do a demo with just your organization too of specific things that you want to know too. And this one says, could other Tatara partners use this as well? And absolutely, Stuart, you can speak to that. We're the first one in the US, but you have opened this up to Tatara partners. That's how we found out about it.
Yes, that is true. So, and I'm in London this week, had met with a whole bunch of the European-based Totoro partners this week as well. So there's quite a bit of interest. It's not overly surprising to me, but just in the way that we see people use Zula, we find people have very specific reporting requirements, and it's almost exactly 99%, but 99% of our customers use their own reports. There's only one out there that strictly uses out of the box reports that we provide. Everybody takes something we provide and makes it their own. So I'm not surprised that the other partners, especially in Europe this week, were interested, because I suspect they're getting the same questions that you're seeing as well, Tammy. People are looking for more, better, different reporting out of their LMS.
Yeah, great. Well, Stuart, thank you so much for taking a time out of your day in London today. We really appreciate it. Stuart had also privately messaged that my slides weren't showing at the beginning, so I will marry those in the recording. Sorry about that. And if you have further questions, feel free to send them to me. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the day.